Welcome to The Guide. I'm Carl Quinn, and with me today is Asia Stiles. And today we're talking about Redfern Now on ABC One. Asia, this is the second season of this show, and it opens with a real bang, doesn't it?
I found it completely heart-wrenching, and I have to admit that I even actually sort of screamed out a little bit because I just wasn't expecting such a huge moment just to kick off the entire new series. And what I really loved about the show, particularly this season, was that they have these really deep, agonizing issues, and they go right into it, and they're not afraid. They don't pull any punches. And they've introduced Noni Hazelhurst, who is a wonderful Australian actress, and she comes in this as this awful mother character, and her homophobia is huge. We have a sort of a scene where I think she, in fact, even makes the comment, it's not about black, it's not about white, it's about being gay. And for me, that just made me just sort of stop and go, I can't believe that was said out loud. But that's something that is just incredible about this show, and that they are able to explore it with just such a ferocity. I also thought that they do a really good job of contrasting the dark with the light. And so when you go through something that's pretty huge emotionally and there's all this upheaval, they also still remember to introduce some fun and some moments of laughter. And I particularly liked a situation where there is a sort of a date, and it's one of those awkward sort of first dates. What do you say? You've known this person for a while, but where on earth are you going to sort of strike up this new sort of relationship? And there's a moment about a mustache that I particularly enjoyed, where it was like, why do you have that fungus on your lip, And he sort of, Aaron Davies, who happens to have the mustache, goes, I never really thought about it. And he goes to kiss her, and she has a moment going, oh, that tickles. And you can see something sort of registers in her mind. And so when he decides to get rid of his fungus, she then berates him. And you kind of go, well, yeah, that was kind of cute. And you've got to have that, because I think if you can't have a laugh, it would just be such a tough show to get through, because there are so many big issues that will particularly come up in this season. So I think it would be great to take a look.
You know what the real trick of being a cop is? The wall.
The wall?
You got to have a wall up. Some people put it up early in their careers. Some people put it up late. And if you want to be a career cop, you got to have it up. Just don't survive in the job without it. I know it seems like we don't care, but we don't start out like that. We've just seen it all. You see, that wall, it separates us.
Well, it's a pretty important piece of work, this Redfern Now. I mean, this is the second season. The ABC committed to this last year out of the relatively newly formed or rejigged Indigenous unit. And it was a big investment. There's not just in terms of money, but in terms of the idea of trying to workshop Aboriginal talent or Indigenous talent. A lot of people who'd never written before or worked, some of them hadn't done a lot of acting before, and they've really, I think, taken a bold leap. And in season 2, I think they've actually lifted the game a little bit. Season 1 had some rough moments, I thought. There were times when the acting wasn't all that convincing, and some of the plot lines where it seemed a little bit contrived. What I've seen of this so far, I think it's really kicked on. Particularly, at the first couple of episodes of this season, you get a real sense that Aboriginality is important. Racial identity is a big part of what is going on here, but it's not everything. Sexuality, your personal history, the sort of the lines you cross or don't cross, all of these things that are really, they're common to people regardless of racial background. And I think that's really, the humanity of the experience is what's really being tapped into here, as much as the specificity of being from, Redfern Now. I think obviously that owes a lot to the guiding hand of Jimmy McGovern, who's the English writer who, is most famous probably for Cracker. But, he was brought on as a script consultant with this to work with these people for the first season. He's back on this season. But to me, it really feels like they've stepped up. They're starting to find, a bit more confidence, a bit more of clarity around the way they want to tell these stories, and I think it's really heartening. I think it's a terrific thing to see. So yeah,
I particularly love this show. I didn't necessarily quite get into it in the first season. There were, like you said, there were moments that I really enjoyed, but this is just an amazing series already. I can see it's just going to get better and better, and I just can't wait to see more.
So that's Redfern Now on ABC One. We'll see you next time.